This is the Neilson Knives Anvil from Texas Farrier Supply, designed in cooperation with J. Neilson, the Forged and Fire Judge. Now today I want to take a look at this anvil, kind of give you my initial thoughts on what this anvil is, get it up on a stand, then we'll do some forging on it. So if you want to see the forging, stick around and watch the last part of the video. This anvil weighs 110 pounds. It is 23.5 inches from the tail to the tip of the horn, 4.5 inches wide, 9 inches tall with a 1-inch hardy hole. And while this looks like a really good general blacksmithing anvil, it has some unique features that were designed into this anvil that I've never seen on another anvil, so it's got some stuff going for it. Now, loose hardy tools are always a problem in the shop. I buy a lot of used hardy tools and the shanks are all different sizes. Sometimes they fit one anvil, but they're loose in a different anvil, and if you make them fit the different anvil, then they don't fit at all in the other anvil. So you end up with kind of a hodgepodge, and stuff rattles around in the hardy hole. This anvil has a set screw in the side of it. And you can lock that tool down. It doesn't rattle anymore, even though that's a 3/4 inch shank in a 1-inch hole. That's a really unique idea. I have never seen that anywhere else. And I think it'll be really nice to have on an anvil. Of course, your tools that are 1-inch shank are going to fit this a lot better, and you don't always have to use that set screw, but it's a nice option if you need it. Another feature this has is that the tail is tapered. I wouldn't go so far as to say this is a 2-horn anvil. This doesn't come out to a point. And the ends of this are very well rounded. That's something that is probably really handy for the knife maker, but if you're doing scroll work and you need a rounder edge to work something around, this might be better than working over the horn in some cases. So it's really going to be something worth exploring and getting to know what that feature is really good for. I can't imagine there's a downside to it other than the loss of that square corner, but since I usually work on a 2-horn anvil, that doesn't bother me much. And the last really unique feature, I had to email and ask what this was for. This is very specific to knives, but again, I'm sure it has some other applications. And it's got a little fuller on the back of it that is for doing finger grooves on knives, working up into certain areas. So it's right there, it's handy. You don't have to have a separate hardy tool to do that kind of stuff. And again, I suspect that's going to come in useful for things other than just making knives. But if you're a knife maker, this was designed with knife making in mind. Now, what about the finish and the attention to detail on this anvil? I think it's outstanding. The top is very nicely machined. It's smooth. There's no pits or issues in the top. The edges have been slightly radiused, so you don't have to dress this anvil immediately. Probably for my use, I'll want some rounder areas, but I don't think I need to worry about that right out of the box like you do with so many anvils. This one's in pretty good shape just the way it is. The horn has been cleaned up. So many anvils come with kind of a rough horn and you got to do some dressing of the horn. If you want a smooth horn, this one's already nice and smooth. Not quite polished, but I don't think you need a polished horn or face on an anvil. On the other hand, it wouldn't be hard to do if that's something you want in your anvil. And the foot of the anvil has been machined parallel with the face, so it's going to sit solidly on a stand. Oh, and I did a little testing with some hardness files. This comes out to about a 55 Rockwell. Good and hard, but not too hard. So that's really a good spot for an anvil. And my initial impression is this is probably going to be an outstanding anvil to work with. But to work with it, we're going to need a stand, and that's going to be my next task. We got lucky. That's exactly what I was hoping to find. you want to see the full video on building the stand, I'll link to that video up here. But for now, let's light the forge and see how this anvil performs. Texas Farrier Supply did send this anvil out at no cost, but they are not paying me to make this video, so all of the thoughts presented are my own. Well, it gives us a nice little cooking fork, although this video is really about the anvil, and the anvil performed wonderfully. If you're in the market for a new anvil, this one wouldn't steer you wrong. 110 pounds is a wonderful weight. It's something that would last you your entire blacksmithing career. I love my 460-pound anvil, but I don't really need a 460-pound anvil. Something in the 100 to 150-pound range I think is really ideal for most people, unless you just really want a bigger anvil or unless you're doing really big work. If you're doing knives, cooking forks, spatulas, steak flippers, bottle openers, hooks, things like this would be a wonderful anvil for that kind of work. It's made in the US and I have absolutely no complaints about it. I think I need a little bit more time with it to explore some of the options here on the tail, that tapered tail with the rounded edges and that little fuller on the end. I think they have some really good potential to do some interesting things once you get used to them, but I also don't see any downside to them, so they're not in the way. They weren't an annoyance in any way. This does seem to have some kind of a coating on the top. It kind of stunk when I started forging, and you can see where I burned that off. So maybe going over this with some lacquer thinner or something initially to get all that coating off might be a little bit more pleasant, but it will burn off eventually and then it won't be an issue. So thank you, Texas Farrier Supply, for sending this anvil out. We're going to use it some more as we progress with our Back to Basics series. And we'll rotate all of these other anvils, forges, things people are sending to look at through that series so you get a better idea of what tools might best suit your shop and your way of working, and your budget, of course. There's a link down in the video description for this anvil if you're interested, as well as a link for the video about making the stand. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have time in your day to get out to your shop, make something, stay safe, wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next video.